Hi, my name's Yasmin and I'm the DM.
Hi, my name is Samantha. I play Elora Greyvale and she is a sorceress from the province of Nephalia.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I play Ogvar Shawfort, the goat-herding, mushroom-seeking ranger from Kessig.
Hi, I'm Rick, and I play Otto, a spring sage from Hanweir sworn to the land, wandering the plain and setting wrongs to right with his ursine companion, Bojo.
On our last visit, the shattered moon with heroes aboard had made a haphazard handbrake turn into the bay. The state of the galley in particular was ghastly, with everyone dodging sharp implements as they dislodged from the ceiling, descending to the deck in deadly fashion. Eric was almost as pasty-faced as Paul, as he bravely battled with a serious bout of biliousness. But together they disembarked the deck, finding the feather token a most favourable mode of transport for a lucky low-tide landing. Traversing the tower to the topmost floor offered Otto the opportunity to both placate and please a very stubborn step on the staircase, before the team were reunited over a tray of tea once more. Episode 149, Pie-rotechnics.
Okay, so you've all kind of sat down, you're getting yourselves comfortable, you're taking a rest. I can't remember what time we said it was now. I believe we said it was
morning.
Mid-morning, yeah. So the day will roll on as you kind of take some time to recover, to recuperate, to find your feet back under you. Eric disappears and he reappears and he's, made up a tray of finger sandwiches, which he puts on one of these spindly looking tables in front of you all, and that's your lunch. Excuse me. You enjoy some finger sandwiches, tea, coffee, and you genuinely take some time to recover, recoup, get some food in you, get some liquids down you, and nurse various headaches, nausea, and other ill effects. So by the time that you've kind of got yourself back together, it's lunchtime. It's midday. 12 o'clock on the dot. What are you all doing?
Well, seeing as we're all still presumably sat round in the living quarters up on floor 7, I think because nobody's really broached the subject of anything, and Elora still wants to keep the topic light at the moment, she just feels that she needs to sort of just stay off the heavy topics for now. She's going to lean forward and say, Eric, tell me, what the hell have you got against cherry pies?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask, honestly.
Well, I have.
Oh, do I really have to tell you?
Well, it just was an odd thing to say that you'd taken umbrage with.
But quite evil. Cherry pies are quite evil.
Why? I quite like them myself.
Well, you see, one day, and he launches into this story. Master Jenrick and I had gone on a private excursion, one of his grand research trips. I'm his assistant, so of course I'm very key to all of this work that goes on. I have a grand role in all of this. Anyway, we had gone on this excursion for the day, research purposes, and we had, we were travelling inland to the forest south of Subhoff and the Morkrat Marsh. You see, there's quite a many interesting things to study in there. It's my particular area of research, and I'm writing a grand paper on this. But we considering that we were going quite a long way, I'm obviously very talented. I made a picnic for us. The works, sandwiches, cakes, cookies, drinks, fresh lemonade, and the fateful cherry pie. We were.
Laura's going to start laughing.
Don't laugh at me, Madame Laura. I am quite traumatised by this incident. I mean, I'm not traumatised per se, but I don't like cherry pies. We were setting up a picnic lunch, and I thought it was a lovely location, amidst the marsh. It was a beautiful grassy glade and a couple of tree logs, and it was quite picturesque, quite beautiful. And I'm very good at picking picnic spots, if I do say so myself. And of course, Master Jenrick expressed some minor concerns, and obviously I know better because I've the master of picnics. And so I set up the lunch, sandwiches on platters, and lemonade in the glasses. There was a salad, cold meats, pork pies, the works. It was one of the best picnics I've ever made. And this beautiful cherry pie that I had made. Perhaps Master Jenrick knew more than I gave him credit for. Cherry pie was so alluring that it may have attracted a swarm of giant wasps, which then proceeded to chase me around the marsh for the rest of the day. And Master Jenrick just stood there and laughed, enjoying the lemonade. Bastard. I mean, I fought them off bravely. I didn't need saving or anything like that. I definitely didn't fall face first into the muck water, but it was traumatizing, and I don't like talking about it.
Laura she's looking at him quite open-mouthed with a very sort of cockamamie grin on her face, and she's just going to go, oh, okay then, traumatising, yeah.
It was very traumatising.
She's going to throw a look over to the others and raise one eyebrow and a smirk on one side of her face. Anybody else got any questions?
Otto's remembering the last time he opened his mouth and started to come up with other things, so he's trying his best to remain civil to everyone at the moment.
Laura's going to look around. Has anybody seen Rowan? Rowan? Is he in his pouch?
Yeah, you give it a shake and Rowan tumbles out onto the floor, flat on his back, fuzzy tummy up, and Char very quickly comes over to sniff at him. He squeaks and takes to the air.
Yeah. She's going to sort of wave a hand at him, and she's going to... Well, I think if he had any spells left, they would be dispelled by now, so actually she doesn't have to dispel anything that he might still be carrying. So I think she was just checking that everything is as it should be and that he's not actually carrying any destructive spells, especially while he's in the tower.
Yeah,
she's just checking
spell free.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, fine. Well, guys, I've got some stuff that I need to do, but I can do that this evening. There's a little bit of reading I need to do. I need to fill out my journal and stuff. I suppose we ought to deal with the elephant in the room. Well, firstly, how did your trip back go? How did you get on? I mean, obviously, I saw you arrive, but what about the rest of it?
Well, I wouldn't say I've mastered it yet, but with a bit of help from Otto and Eric, and just we fumbled our way through it. I'm still not 100% convinced with boats. I will be honest. But yes, I think the more time we spend there, the more it will feel a little more natural. But yes, I think we might need a few more practice runs before we take on any long journeys, I would say. Would you agree, Otto?
Yes, a bit of practice mastering the various elements of the boat might be useful. I think maybe we could work together on that and learn a bit more as time goes on. It'd be useful if we were able to take a little bit of time and instead of rushing around all over the place, not just to get used to the ship, but it has to be said, you're right. There are other things that we perhaps need to think about, things we need to try.
I think there are a number of things that need to be addressed. I've got a number of things that I need to do, and I think we have a number of conversations about it. Quite a few things that we need to talk about. Not least of all the way you guys are talking. I suppose initially I thought that it would be a good idea to give the ship to the church, but I had some time to think on my way back, on the ride back, and, well, it's not just a ship, it's so much more.
It's an M&S ship. Sorry.
Not again.
So I'll roll my own D8.
It's so much.
I was about to ask.
And it's so much more than that, and I can see the benefits in us keeping it. Actually, I think it might be wise. I think we could benefit from it, and we could use it to benefit other things on Innistrad. Maybe we shouldn't give this away, and by the sounds of it, you guys are perhaps thinking the same thing. She's going to look from one to the other. She's going to look to Esther, inquiringly.
I think that we should probably ask the captain of the ship his thoughts. My own are very simple. If it is something that can be used to help those who live here on Innistrad, then I think that perhaps we should care for it and use it to the best of our abilities. I'd hate to think of it falling into the wrong hands, and should that happen once we've tried to give it away, part of me would feel responsible if it did.
I agree. I think this is a very useful asset to have found. I think with the current situation we are in, and that we still have Quin's task to continue with, I think it would be. It's still doing the church's work, Alora, and if time is of the essence and we need to move across from place to place, I think this will aid us. So I think so, yes.
I completely concur with you. I mean, I make no apologies for actually. I've always wanted a ship. Why wouldn't I? Spend most of my time on boats. Never quite envisaged myself with one. I just thought that with this task, it just seemed like an obvious thing to do. But now, I don't think that it is an obvious thing to do. I think you're right. I think we should keep it. At least for now, we need to keep this. I mean, this thing is a complete power trip, isn't it? You think about not only its value, not monetary value, not in coin, but the value of the item itself. I mean, this is unique. You don't want this falling into the wrong hands, and well, yeah, you know, it could actually cause more problems than it solves if it's in the wrong hands.
Well, I think it was in the wrong hands
Exactly.
to start with, and look what happened there.
Yeah. And you're right. We must continue what the task that Kieran was given. We need to finish this
Okay.
for Innistrad as well as for Kieran, and for ourselves, for everybody. It's important that we do this.
Yes, I agree. And as long as you don't get all power hungry and go all litchy like the previous owner.
Well, I don't know really what kind of magic caster he was, but he looked a bit, well, according to the logs, seemed to indicate that he was a wizard. I'm not that. You think I'm power hungry? You think that this is going to go to my head?
Do know power does weird things to good people.
It does, but there are several of us here,
Very true. Very true.
and we all keep each other on the straight and narrow, right? We all look after each other. That's how it's been.
I'd like to think so, yes.
Okay, well, I guess Esther, what do you think?
Oh, well, honestly, Dewey, speaking from having spent years within the service of the church, I find all too often that the items that are needed and could be best supported, or could be best used to support the common folk, the good folk, are often hoarded by those sat in their silver cities. And I think that should we willingly, easily give this over to those at the top of the tree, so to speak, I think there is a good chance that we may never see anything like this on the plane again. It will be sequestered away and treated as, obviously, as a valued item as it is, but it will not benefit people. I think even if, eventually it does make its way into the hands of the clergy, I think for now we could be making the best use of it. How's Paul doing, by the way?
Yes. I gather you've probably met our friend?
Yes, Paul. He's an interesting fellow, isn't he?
Yes.
Very spiritualistic.
Yes, I concur with that as well.
How did it go, Laura? Paul Whistlemeyer!
That's the one, Esther. You've got it.
And how did we end up with him being part of our crew?
Oh, things happen, and she kind of waves her hands and dismisses it, almost as another Tuesday.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. Let's just say that we crossed his path, or crossed over his path, or something like that.
I see. Well, he's a little odd, but he's not too bad in the kitchen.
I think he would be an asset.
He's a dab hand with the spirits.
He is that.
Shall I
I'm
roll
certainly
those
not going
D8s?
to argue with you. God. Yeah.
Esther,
Yes.
sorry, I do have a question perhaps that we do need to address.
Yes, dearie.
Paul to one side, who, yes, it seems to be an interesting character. Kewin's quest. Obviously, with Kewin's passing, and I have a thought that maybe there's something I can try to, I don't know, maybe at least call back his soul or commune with him in some way. But is Kewin's quest now our own? Is that something that is his quest something that required it to be Kewin, or can we take up his mantle?
Well, dearie, I suppose the closest one to Kewin at the time of him receiving such a missive was you, Ogvar. However, I would assume naturally that as he no longer walks with us, it is our turn to take up the mantle and complete this. Well, it would take getting a message to the church and for them to reassign this mission would take time which I don't think we have. For someone else to travel down and take up the mantle, I would think, well, in my heart at least, I want to see this through to the end. Even if that is the end of my own life, I wish to see it through.
Laura feels a lump in her throat, swallows hard.
Don't be upset, dearie. I'm an old woman. I've served my years, I've spent many good years upon this plane, and if, in the process of seeing this through to the end, I myself make my way to Avacyn's bosom, then I will have lived a happy and full life, secure in the knowledge that my grandson will take up my blade, and he too will have a full and happy life, and that my departure would mean something.
Esther, if you're in a position where you depart, then that probably puts us all in a similar position.
My dearie,
Let's face
you do
it.
not give yourself much credit. I have seen you grow rapidly as characters, as people. I've seen your progress from when you first came to the church and you now, and threw some bats using my favourite tea tray, to where you stand now. One less, but greater in spirit, having just defeated a lich of all beings. You don't give yourself enough credit, dearie.
We're all the stronger for having you with us. Laura will just lean forward and lay a hand on Esther's hand and just give it a squeeze.
She squeezes back, she flips the palm up and squeezes it back. Gives you a soft smile, and you see, almost where you've seen Esther as this old but incredibly strong woman. You look at her, and yes, she is older, yes, she's incredibly strong, but in the creases of her face, the creases at the corner of her eyes, the creases at her mouth, you see the tale of a life well lived, a life lived to the fullest and experienced. And looking into her eyes, you don't sense any falsehood in her words. She truly believes that should the seeing this mission through to the end result in her life being lost, she doesn't have any qualms. She is happy and she is content.
Laura will, she'll nod, and she will smile back at Esther, a genuine smile. Since we are laying our feelings open, as this seems appropriate, there is something that I think we should share with you, Esther. Something that it's not that we haven't been underhand, and it's not that we have been dishonest with you, but I think there is something that I've been wanting to ask you for a while, something that we need to share. And it's not related to any of this. When we were at the church in Dranau, and the Nebelgast came, and the crypt seemed to come to life, as it were, while we were cleaning up in the lower part of the crypt, something happened. I tried to find out discreetly back then by asking to look at books or asking you a few questions, but I just couldn't get to the bottom of it. Something happened to us, and a wall in the bottom of the crypt opened up and revealed something to us. We had personal experiences down there, each of us in our own vision, but yet we were actually there. Mine was sea-based, and I came out of it soaking wet. I don't know how long I was in that vision, but it seemed somehow real. Ogvar had one, Kieran had one. He obviously isn't here to share that. But once we'd gone through, they seemed to be personal trials of some description. There was a voice, and it said, "Welcome to our legacy." I think that was what it said. Was that what it said, Ogvar?
Ogvar just nods.
And a wall seemed to melt away that was a solid wall before, and there was a room with loads of, well, I can only describe it as like a loot room, like a loot hall. There was some coinage, I think, but just items like weaponry and things, and we gathered them up. We didn't know what to do with them. I think a large portion of it we sold or exchanged, but I was trying to find out what it meant, and I've been wanting to speak to you about it for ages, and I just didn't know how to approach it. Were these things, I've begun to wonder whether these things were meant, were they yours? Whose were they? Why were they given to us? Do you know what this is? What legacy is this? And since then we've had, well, I've certainly gained some extra things that I could never do before. Something within me. Things that I could never do before. I don't understand what any of it is, so I never really knew how to approach you with it. Do you know anything about this?
Well, unfortunately, dearie, I don't. That's it's news to me. I mean, it's an old building. I became the caretaker of it, and it was built before I was around, so I wouldn't be surprised if the old girl has a few secrets. But no, and let me see. Let me just check if Esther would have.
Sorry, I know it's a bit out of left field, but it was just the way the conversation went, and it's just something that's lingering as an old thread that just bubbled back up again.
I just need to roll a check here. Can someone roll me a d20, please?
I haven't rolled anything tonight, I'll do that. I wish I'd left it to somebody else, because that's a nat 1.
Well, no, dearie, I'm afraid I don't. Something's tickling in the back of my brain, but I can't think for the life of me what it might be. But no, I wasn't aware. It's certainly not certainly nothing of mine that you were gifted. I would put it down to good fortune. And perhaps the blessing of the lady herself.
I guess I was just curious as to who they in the legacy were, or what the legacy actually is. It's obviously had a lingering effect on us, but I just didn't. I was just not comfortable for the longest time with you not knowing that, Esther. And seeing as we're having this conversation, let's just lay everything out on the table. I have nothing to hide. Is there anything we need to talk about Kewin? I mean,
For that,
we have his belongings.
For that, I must ask you. We have had this thought that I do not know whether he can be brought back. I do know if it's possible. I do think it's important to try. I have the favour of the land. I have my magics that might allow this, even if he doesn't necessarily come back in the same form that he left us in. It does require certain unguents and incenses, material components, and they are costly. But it wouldn't sit well with me if I didn't at least try. My question is that because we don't have those things, but I'm wondering if Generic might. Do you think that perhaps there's something in that trove that we found that perhaps we might exchange, at least in part, for some of these material components that I would need to make this attempt? And it should be said that I have something else in my mind I've wanted to do for a long time as well, which would require the same sort of thing.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that we have something. I mean, we've got to go through all of that, which is probably a job for tomorrow to settle what we're going to do with all the items that we've acquired. I'm sure there'll be something in there that we could. I'm certain there'll be something there that will not be of use to us, but would be quite precious to Genric.
Yes.
And possibly some things for Eric as well. After all, he was with us. What is it that you need, Otto?
Nothing. The land provides. I am sworn to the land, and part of that oath is that I own nothing of value. And I don't feel bad about that in the slightest.
No, I was referring to the components that you need.
My apologies.
What is it that you would need from Genric?
As I say, there's a variety of different oils and things that are sacrificed when the spells are cast. I would need to perhaps write them down for him to see if he has access to them. And indeed, I can ask him myself. No need to trouble yourselves, I would say. But
okay.
I want to see if there's any way of unlocking the secrets of this feather, maybe releasing his soul from wherever it is kept, and yes, if possible, maybe finding a new form for him. The other thing, to be honest, you've mentioned yourself that something's been preying on your mind. Bojo has been with me for a long time. He's been with me through thick and thin, and through all that he's managed with limited knowledge of what's happening around him. My thinking is that as he's perhaps advancing a little in age, that I would like to thank him in some small way. And another form of magic that is available to me is to, well, it will awaken his mind. He will have much greater understanding of the forces around us and his place in that. He will no longer be linked to me. This will release any bonds that we have, but it will allow him to make his own mind, and perhaps he will choose to stay with us and perhaps he won't. But with your permission, I would also like to ask Genric if he has the materials I would need to attempt this ritual, and perhaps let Bojo choose his own path from here. And should he choose to remain with us, then that would be a joyous thing. But if he doesn't, I would also understand. And I think that perhaps now is the time to do this. If we're advancing upon this airship, I don't know if he really wants to come there away from the forest or his home. Yes, again, with your permission, I would like to try this.
I think that we'd all... I can't imagine that any of us wouldn't be in agreement. You don't need our permission. You
Well.
found your way to us somehow through a link to Ogvar that... Well, I don't understand it.
Nor do we.
But
I believe it's something to do with those green stones, but I know little else.
yeah, I don't know much about that. I don't know what they are, but you found your way to us, and well, you've been with us, for a little while now, and kind of feel like we've got to know you. And I think if you need something, then you should have it. I think we should all have what we want if we can have it. What do you say, Ogvar?
Yes, I agree completely. You've been nothing but helpful, and we're all on the same side.
Thank you both. I will attempt to corner Genric when his mind isn't occupied by too many other matters, and see if he has the items we need. Otherwise, there's no point thinking about what we might trade for them.
Could I suggest... I'm sorry, Otto, I don't mean to cut in.
No, of course, please. Go on.
May I suggest that... Well, I have a number of things that I need to do. If you like, housekeeping things that I've neglected that I need to keep up with, and things that I need to do. Genric is busy decoding what we've asked him to look at, Katarina's notes, and you obviously have things to do. I'm assuming that Ogvar probably has things that he needs to do too. She looks at Ogvar inquiringly. You have things that you need to do too, Ogvar?
No, yes.
Well, could I be so bold as to propose, and she looks at Esther as well, that why don't we... I know this is a pressing matter, this thing that must be done for Avacyn, and indeed Innistrad, but I think we should take a little time here, extra days away, a week, whatever is needed, before we press on with the main task at hand. I think we need to complete various things for ourselves. It's just a suggestion.
Perhaps you are right. Since I joined you, and it seems far longer than it actually is, we haven't taken more than a few moments to ourselves. It's not healthy to do that. I think that sometimes we just need to take a moment to evaluate things, and perhaps, as you say, just to do those things that are perhaps required of us that we haven't taken the time to do. And when we have finished with those tasks, set forth with a somewhat lighter hearts, knowing that we've done what we had to do, what was required of us, and focus on the task at hand, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, we have a roof over our heads, we have been extended an invitation to reside here temporarily, and I think we all need some time to do things for ourselves and tie up loose ends, make things right, well, as far as we can.
It would also allow some repairs and tidying up of the ship. That I can certainly assist with some parts of that, but...
what have you done to it?
Nothing.
What happened?
It was an entirely uneventful trip. Nothing for you to be concerned with. It was absolutely fun. Wasn't it, Ogvar? It was a lovely trip in the ship.
Ogvar's sort of stood there with very wide eyes, like, yes.
Yeah. As you look out the window, Alora, you can clearly see that the main sail is basically torn in two. It doesn't look in a good state.
Yeah. Alora's favourite eyebrow raises, almost meets her hairline. She just shakes her head very slightly. Very slight movement.
How do you have a favourite eyebrow?
And
Do
then
you
she
pluck
just-
it more?
Yeah, it's the one. It's the one. It's the one that got burnt off and has regrown slightly bushy. It has a greater reach now because the hair's longer. She's found that she's had to keep trimming it on the way down from, the 3 days down. She's had to.
Keeps catching on the corks.
Yeah, it's catching on a corks. Yeah. When the wind blows, it just bristles the corks.
Okay, so Laura now canonically
proper Dennis
has one
Healy.
bushier eyebrow that has to be constantly trimmed.
Bushier eyebrow, yeah. Well, when you go through these, guys, when you go through these things, you are left. If you're not left with scars, you're left with other things about you that are slightly different. I wear my eyebrow with pride.
I'm at the risk of breaching some copyright. I am recalling a line, something about one bigger, hungrier caterpillar chasing its smaller, less hungry caterpillar. Yeah. A friend's reference for those who don't catch it.
With the amount of times it goes up and down with you lot, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised it hasn't caught the other one yet. It's like the tortoise and the hare, isn't it?
So we're
it
resolved.
might grow into a monobrow before long, you never know.
Oh no.
So I'm going to presume that we are resolved to take some time to ourselves in Genric's tower. We're going to take some time to go through what we found. We're going to take some time to repair some damage, to make our own plans of things. We haven't heard much from Ogvar. Does Ogvar have much in the way of plans? Or is it just trying to absorb everything at the moment?
Yeah, he's got a few things he wants to do in his few days, but I think we sort of have to see what happens and how the conversations go as to whether he does them.
That's fair. So I guess we need to ask Genric if he minds us sticking around for a bit. And, well, maybe enjoy our afternoon before we set to work the next day. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
There we go. I mean, Eric might be able to answer some of the questions if we can't get hold of Genric.
Yeah.
Where is Eric? Is he still sat with us?
Oh,
or has
yeah.
he disappeared off with his new puppy?
As you look around to kind of spot Eric, you can see he's actually currently slumped back on this settee he's sat on. Kind of head tossed back, mouth open, a little bit of drool coming out the side as he is fast asleep. Clearly recovering from his late night and then vomit comet trip.
What's the hellhound puppy doing?
Well, as you take a look to see what the hellhound puppy's been doing, you can see that it has pissed up one of the sofas.
Steaming.
That was a question. If it poops fire and vomits fire, what does it piss?
It puts the fire out with that. It sets fire to something and then
Or
puts
is it like
out.
lighter fluid when it comes out?
I actually had a thought for a name for the puppy. Ember.
It's got a name, hasn't it?
Yeah,
It does, but
It's called Char. No, you see, it's taken. It's left a puddle of wee on the floor. The wee seems fairly normal, but as you look at it, you can see. You kind of give it a bit of a stare, and you can see like a slight kind of haze above it. So you're assuming it's possibly quite noxious. It's currently just kind of exploring the surroundings, trotting around the place. Just kind of doing its thing.
I wish I had prestidigitation. Hopefully one of those two has. Clean up after it.
I don't. But
I'm
Go.
Let's go into the thought process of everything it produces is somewhat either flammable or on fire. Could Ogvar take out of his bag some of his the tissue paper that is still left from his novelty mug from
Gloomrest, yeah.
Gloomrest,
Yeah.
I was going to say Gloomhaven. From Gloomrest. Soak it up and just on maybe a less flammable surface than the floor, put his flint and steel to it to see whether it's extra combustible wee.
Okay, right. You can do that. It's a bit weird, but pop off. Let me
Urine
just
bombs, great.
check.
Molotov cocktails.
Combine that with some flash powder. Away you go.
It's all ideas.
It's how to turn a flash powder into actually damage doing, isn't it? It'd be like gaseous, like a gas cloud, wouldn't it?
Of all the things I thought we were discussing today, I must admit, Hellhound urine
Eyebrows and piss.
wasn't there.
And oddly hairy eyebrows.
Yes, that also didn't make the list.
Monobrows and wee. Yeah, great.
There's your title.
Hang on.
Monobrows and wee.
Eyebrows and excrement. There you go.
Hey!
Oh no!
This is writing it down. That worries me.
I am, yeah. Oh dear.
You soak up some of this puppy piss.
Yep.
It smells a little bit like rotten eggs. You put it on
nice.
a table. Are you putting it on? Or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You put it down.
Something. Is there something stonish, or is there something like a stone window ledge or something?
Yeah.
or-
Okay. You can find a window ledge. The smell is making your eyes.
It's alright, it's got stone shape.
The smell is making your eyes water a little bit, and you put a flint and steel to it. Make me a dexterity saving throw, please.
Oh, shit.
Reflex save, yeah.
Yes, sorry, reflex save.
Ah. Well, I can't roll any lower than that.
Oh no.
Your turn! Your turn!
I don't think I've rolled anything higher than a 10, and an 11 for the last 2 sessions.
And you dropped the 10 part of it. You just made it the nat 1.
Okay.
Oh, lovely.
Eyebrows got one eyebrow now.
I mean, if you want to rock that fashion, you can rock it.
Not partic.
Okay.
If you lost the opposite one, we could make one really good one, couldn't we?
We could put our heads together and just draw them on.
Draw the
Get
bit
out
in the
of the
middle.
charcoal, just go straight across.
Anybody for a stabilo marker?
Okay. So you take 16 points of damage.
Ooh. Bloody hell.
As
You'll weaponise the dog.
it's a hellhound. As you set a flint and steel to this soaked piece of paper, there is a sudden flash of yellowish light and a belching, billowing gout of flame, a very kind of yellow, sickly colour, fading to red, bursts forth and kind of into your face as you're unable to dodge in time. As you have discovered that hellhound pee is basically liquid sulphur.
Oh my god.
And does
Okay.
indeed set on fire when exposed to a source. So you've now got a burning puddle of... Well, you've got a burning piece of paper which is soaked in hellhound wee. And the window very helpfully opens itself to try and kind of let some of the smell out, because it now very strongly smells of rotten eggs.
Ah, excellent. Ogvar sort of like a bit shell-shocked, sort of a bit like I imagine it's sort of like hairs sort of quiffed up a bit at the front. And
Oh, it's
fire,
singed.
fire.
Did that answer your question?
Ogvar sort of whips around and goes, "It went better than I expected."
Yeah, your everything, like all of your hair, facial hair, a little bit of stubble, your nostril hair, your eyelashes, your eyebrows, your like the front of your hair, it is all singed and slightly smoking. And actually your face has gone like a very red colour as it's obviously been exposed to like kind of a big flash of heat.
Okay.
Yeah, and as everyone looks at you, they can see that indeed there is bits of steam coming from your head. There's steam coming out of your nostrils, your eyes, your kind of chin area. Yeah, you just appear to be that your face is steaming, and you do now smell of sulphur and obviously that rotten egg smell
And burnt hair as well.
and
mixed
burnt
in.
hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
melting keratin. Yeah.
Well, let's face it. He's
Yeah,
probably
okay.
smelt worse in his days. Yes, I think so. And he's sort of like just patting his face and his head down and just sort of just trying to pat out any smouldering bits and bobs. It's, well, curiosity is rewarded in one way or another, isn't it? So I think we've all come out of that knowing a little bit more than we did when we went in. So maybe keep the hellhound away from fire.
And just the small thought, remember this is the dog that was littering our ship.
Well, maybe we don't let him pee and poo in the same place.
Or anywhere near the ship. Or the library. Or near anything flammable.
You'll come back to Gemmick's town in a couple of months and there'll be just like no grass anywhere.
Or tower.
Smoking remains.
Okay.
Quite curious how the tower's reacting to this.
Yeah. Ogvar sort of waits for it to like peter out a bit and then just like
No.
flicks it off the windowsill like
Peter out, really?
waits for it to
You went there.
4 points.
oh. It's a whole 20 now.
If it makes you feel better, despite the fireball to the face and the little bit of psychic damage, Otto's still got a worse headache than you've taken. Oh dear.
Oh.
So, should we just chill for the rest of the day, approach Genric the next day?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a lot of sense out of him into these
No, probably not.
concluded his thoughts.
Where? I don't know. Well, I don't know where he is, do I?
Oh, he's
I
down in the
think-
alchemy lab.
Alora. Is that where he? Have you seen Genric on your way up?
Yeah,
Did you guys
the
see
alchemy
Genric?
lab.
Yes.
Oh right. Oh yeah. Okay. Right. You have to excuse me, guys. I'm gonna go down to the library. I've got a few things to do, and it might take me a while to get them done. If anybody wants me, I'll be down there. So she's going to take herself another cup of tea. She's going to descend down the steps, avoiding the step that's tripped her up twice.
Okay.
She's going to sort of jump over it, and then she is going to bolt her way with a cup of tea, hopefully not spilling too much of it, down through the biosphere, like the biome thing, and then she's going to run down as quickly as possible down to the library.
Okay.
And when she gets down to the library, she is going to do two things for the afternoon and into the evening. She is going to firstly upkeep her journal. So she's going to take that out of her backpack and start writing up her journal. Because she hasn't really filled it in since they left Stagwick. So that's going to keep her busy for quite a while. And then after that, the other thing that she's going to do is she's going to take all of her scrolls that she's obtained from out of her backpack. Bear with me. My screen's just gone blank, it would do. She has there are 3 scrolls in her backpack. She is going to study those scrolls so that if she ever needs them in a tight spot, she hasn't got to stand and read them. She is going to memorise them. Something she hasn't previously done.
Okay. Right. Okay. So you spend some.
So that will take her into the evening.
Okay. So you spend some time doing that. Otto, Ogvar, is there anything you're doing in this kind of Is there anything you're doing in this kind of run up to the evening period?
No, but Otto would just he'd probably borrow a quill, some ink, and some paper from somewhere. I'm reasonably sure there's something hanging around here, and he will start to write down a list of the sort of ingredients that he needs to cast his spells.
Okay.
And then once he's done that, he'll just pocket that so it's ready to produce at some point. And he's going to go down and probably spend a bit of time with Bojo, who presumably would be left down by the in the stables at the bottom.
Okay.
Just trying to make the most of the time that he thinks he might have left with Bojo as he is, because he's quite aware that if the spell does work, Bojo's going to be very different, and their relationship will not be the same.
Yeah. So you
So he
spend
kind of wants to make the most of the time he's got left.
you spend some time with Bojo and you kind of re-establish that bond. He's not going to hold a grudge against you for making him shipsick. He's quite a forgiving bear. So you spend some time with him, perhaps give him another watermelon or two, and kind of bribe him and bring him back around a bit. And he seems happy, and he's just enjoying your company. Ogvar, what are you doing in that kind of run-up period to the evening?
I think what Ogvar would do would be to nip down to the library where Alora is and ask if he could retrieve Kewin's armour out of Orland, and take it up to possibly one of the workshops, because I don't think Jarrick's in the workshop, is he?
He is
And
on floor 5,
lab.
which is the alchemy lab. So yeah, you've got
was
the
it-
workshop and a couple other rooms you could use.
Yeah, so take it up to the workshop and sort of lie out on the bench, and sort of just set to sort of cleaning it up a bit and sort of doing the nightly ritual which Kewin probably would have been doing himself if he were here to do it. So making sure like the bits and pieces are like well maintained and shiny, and the hinge on the visor is secure, and put a bit of oil in it or something like that if anything's a bit squeaky. So just do what Kewin would be doing.
Okay. Yeah. So you run.
Sort of thinking about what's gone on.
Okay. So you run some armor maintenance. You clean his armor up. You keep on finding bits of Kewin dust in the cracks, which you clean out and tidy up. And yeah, by the time you're finished, your arms are sore. You've been polishing away at this armour for a couple of hours, and it is sparkling. It is possibly even more pristine than Kewin kept it. Kewin kept his armour functional. You've made his armour beautiful. You've kind of restored its shine, and you've paid real amounts of care and attention to every single nook and cranny. And although Kewin did obviously pay attention to his armour, he maintained it well. It was to a functional state, not to a high quality, fully, kind of restored.
Just bear in mind, I don't know whether you remember, it was damaged when he got had by the eel.
Yes, I mean
There was some damage to it.
I mean, you can still see these marks, but you've straightened them out as much as you can, and although the edges are still sharp, you've shone everything up. So his armour, where it used to be kind of a little bit grungy because he was a bit of a grungy guy, you've kind of cleaned all of that grime off and really buffed it up. I mean, any leather straps, you've even gone so far as to kind of fully treat the leather straps using some of Orland's leather care. And you've done a beautiful job on it, and it looks like a really splendid set of armour, even with the damage. Okay, so
Good.
you all undertake these activities. At some point, Esther will come back downstairs. Eric will wake up and he'll go and tidy himself up. He'll get a shower, get cleaned up, and he disappears for a while. And you can tell by the snoring sounds he's gone for a proper lie-down rest. The puppy still wanders about, and he did clean up the remainders of the puppy puddle when he saw the puppy puddle, kind of looking at it curiously as it smelled a bit of rotten eggs and sulphur, but ultimately deciding not going to bother exploring that avenue of thought for now. Bed is the way to go. So Esther had also popped downstairs. Laura, you'd have seen her pop downstairs, book in hand, and she pops back on the shelf and very kind of almost surreptitiously takes the next volume and disappears again. Next volume of this book. And yeah, evening rolls round, and it's probably approaching what you would say is about 7 p.m. And as the day's gone on, you've gone to early evening, you've obviously had those beautiful kind of twilight lights. The cloud cover has become thinner and patchier throughout the course of the day. And by the time you hit twilight, it's a very kind of wispy grey smattering of clouds, with this beautiful kind of soft orange to pink to violet to a light blue, like a mid blue, and then a dark navy velvet right at the kind of the peak of the sky, and you can see that beautiful sunset behind the ship. The ship it's stark black colour anyway, but almost kind of backlit and even more so kind of stark against the sunset. And the moon is high and full in the sky. It's hanging. It's a big moon. It's quite encompassing, and its glow is strong. This beautiful silver glow. As you settle into evening activities, you have a meal. Eric will start catering. Esther will join in, and they whip together a decent meal for the 6 of you. Eric takes down a meal for Jenric. It's nothing fancy, but it's hearty food. It's a soup with some nice kind of sourdough bread, a little scraping of butter on the top, and it's a solid meal. It's a nice meal. So you finish your dinner, you have the kind of evening chatter, and as the night wears on, you all gradually, with the events of the day weighing down, the events of the previous days weighing down on you, you all head to bed. This time, asleep on solid ground rather than the swaying deck of the ship, and a bit more at ease. As you all slip into sleep, you are all plagued by thoughts, by dreams, half-forgotten wispy things that you won't remember by the time morning comes round. Nothing more than kind of fleeting impressions. Otto, as you drift away into your slumber, you're probably downstairs with Bojo, curled up, tucked against his side, and perhaps as if to give you a beautiful backdrop to fall asleep to, the tower has provided several large windows, which are currently propped open, providing a cool night breeze from which you can see this beautiful, beautiful moon set amidst the stars. As you drift off, a gentle breeze flowing over you, the sounds of crickets and Bojo's soft snores, you dream. And you remember your dream when you wake up. As you close your eyes and lose consciousness, it isn't long until you wake up again. But this time, you are most definitely not in the tower. Bojo has disappeared from beside you. The straw that you laid upon is gone. You now are lying on your back in what appears to be a void of some kind. You can tell you're lying down. There's something behind your back, but when you look, you can see nothing that would be there to support you. It is almost just blackness. As you stand to your feet, you look around, and you see nothing but the fogs and mists kind of roiling, and occasionally they'll thin out, and you can see this void, this blackness. As you stand and look around, you hear a voice. This soft, angelic voice, somehow stronger this time. Perhaps it's the moon's influence, perhaps just because there's a full moon, her strength is greater than it was before. The melodious, soft voice. She speaks to you, the voice of Avacyn. Are you ready, Otto? Have you made a choice?
I have. I am ready.
Eric told his traumatic tale of the cursed cherry pie plagued by pests, leaving Elora bemused and wishing she had never inquired. Esther agreed to continue to the quest to assist Avacyn, and later Ogvar's curiosity got the better of him as he performed an alchemical test on a puddle of pee, leaving him a little light in the facial hair department.
Hey, you made it this far, so lend us your ears for a moment longer if you will. Firstly, we are most humbled that you are enjoying our yarn, and the crew thank you from the bottom of their hearts for your patronage. Producing this podcast is incredibly hard work, and as such, if you would like to support us, there are a few ways in which you could really make a difference. Sharing links to friends and family helps to spread the word so others like you can find us, and in turn they too can enjoy the show. Equally helpful is leaving a 5-star review on Spotify and any other streaming services, which will help us immensely. Or, if you feel you could go that extra mile and contribute a few coppers to keep our creative juices flowing, you can hop on over to our Buy Me a Coffee page or drop us an email. We would all be immensely grateful for your support in any form. Lastly, we invite you to visit our website, where you will find information on our campaign from backstories to settings. Join our Facebook group or follow us on Twitter. All the links are in our episode bios. Don't forget to smash the subscribe and download buttons so you never miss the next episode. See you all again next week, folks.